I'm Judy Leith, and several questions have risen about the use of the trust funds that we have here at the church. Hopefully, I can clarify some of the misunderstandings that we've had. Paul Yaley, a longtime member of FCC, wished to give a portion of his estate upon his death as a trust for FCC. At his request, the trust was to be administered by First American Bank for 60 years. His intent was for use of the income from the trust to be used for capital expenditures and mission work. He didn't believe that the church should rely on the trust for operating expenses, but he felt that the congregation should support the working of the church through their pledges and giving. He realized that the building was old and would need a lot of repairs down the road, and I think this was his way of covering those repairs for at least 60 years. The original gift to the trust was approximately $3 million. A committee from the church worked with First American Bank and ended up setting the distribution that we would get from the income. 60% would go to mission and 40% would go to capital. After 2008, when the recession set in, the bank started looking at ways that we could get a larger distribution from the trust fund. In 2013, FCC voted to change the trust from an income trust to a total return trust. The Illinois trust laws said that you could take any place from a 3 to 5% distribution from that trust, and so it was established, the church established, that we would take 4%. What this means is that we would no longer be getting interest and dividends, but we would be getting a 4% distribution of the total value of the trust. In order to keep our distribution on an even keel, it was also decided that we would take that distribution would be based on a 3-year average, so that if the value of the trust was really high one year and really low the next year, by averaging out, the distributions would stay on a more even level. I think the one misunderstanding, the one that I hear the most is since the original trust was $3 million and it's now worth $6 million, why can't we spend that other $3 million any way we want? That's a misconception, because once the trust changed from an income trust to a total return trust, there is no difference between principal and interest and dividends and income. So we are looking at the total value of the trust, and our distributions have been greater since we have done that. If you look at 4% of $3 million, that's $120,000. 4% of the $6 million is $240,000. So as the trust grows, our distribution also grows. The yearly distribution goes into 2 different accounts. It goes into the capital and it goes into the mission. When we changed from an income trust to a total return trust, the church also voted to change the distribution to a 50-50 split. So 50% goes to missions and 50% goes to capital. This year, we're looking at about $114,000 to be added to each account. So there's $114,000 for mission grants to use for their grants, and there's $114,000 to be used for capital. In the past few years, we've used capital. I think it was 2014 or 15 when we had major use of the capital, about $100,000 when we had to repair plumbing in the kitchen. We did new computers. We had to redo the floor in the choir room. We had a new dishwasher. So all of those funds come out of the capital expenditure fund. However, for the past 5 years, that fund accumulates if we don't spend it all. But for the last 5 years, we've been taking money out of there for the deficit in the budget. So if we're accumulating money in there to work towards phase 2, when we take extra money out, we are diminishing that fund and only allowing us to work towards phase 2 in a maybe later date. There is another trust. The FCC trust was a gift from Laura Kimball. I don't know when that was given, but it was back in the early 1900s. This trust has grown over the years, but there are no restrictions on this trust. However, the church takes 4% of this trust out every year and uses it as income to help with the budget. So if we decide to take money out of that trust to spend on other things, that just means less money coming in to the annually for the budget. I think a lot of people think that the Yaley Trust is the answer to all our all our problems. We have this money, why don't we use it? Well, the Yaley Trust is restricted funds. We don't have total access to it. And it's not the answer to our problems. I think we need to find new ways of increasing our pledging and giving and paying for the programs that we want to support. So if you have further questions about any of the trusts, feel free to contact me or anyone on the Finance Committee. Thank you.